Hello everybody, it's me, Jay. I play Memor the Centaur Paladin, and welcome to another episode of the Worst Outtakes. Today I'm joined by another person. Go, say words.
Hi, hello, I'm Michael, and I play Nylan Lyra, the Lunar Sorcerer. Hello.
Yes. I have recruited a co-host for this episode, against his will, of course.
I'm being held at gunpoint.
Yeah. Although, legally, no you're not, because we're not allowed
Legally, no, I'm
those.
not. You correct.
Yes. Now let's get on to what we're doing today, also known as what we did last week first. Last time the party arrived at this big old town of Tanist. We took a boat there. That was nice. Yep, we finally got around to cremating Gary's corpse that we had been carrying, well, that Memor had been carrying around for long enough. Nylan went and finally put Jeremy back up for adoption and in an orphanage. Love to see it. And Mud caused issues. He got us involved with the Grottley gang, who are a gang of angry, rebellious goblins who steal their mother's hair, and then they attacked us during the night, which brings us about to the start of the session after that, which you will not have seen yet. Now, what are we doing today, Michael, now that the recap's done?
Well, today, or for this episode of the Outtakes, we'll be discussing some of the many new races that our Dungeon Master has made for his setting to, sprucing up the world and make it a bit different from other fantasy settings.
Yeah, yeah,
He's been ever so kind to give us 10 of these races to share with you all. Yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. Yeah.
Yep, there will be more in the future, though. I think he's told me he's planned about 50 races to add or something stupid.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
that's what he said.
yeah, that may even be more than exists already in D&D, so that'll certainly be interesting. Alright, let's move on to the first of these races. We'll start small with the mushkin. They are tiny little creatures that are just mushrooms, and their unique trait is they, instead of requiring food or any other form of nourishment, they eat magic. A certain different way of living, I suppose, similar to Gale from Baldur's Gate, I think. Spoilers if you haven't played any of Baldur's Gate. Oh well, but yeah, anyway, they have these little settlements that they call either colonies or networks, which they've got a unique trait of being able to essentially leave their current mushroom body and appear in a new one at their settlement, which is certainly strange. I mean, is it the same one technically once the body has died? That's a philosophical question. I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready. Let's move on to the next one. Michael, it's your turn. Go.
The next one is the named Mugskibbin. They're around the same size, maybe a tiny bit bigger than the Mushkin, and they're sort of like they're semi-aquatic mudskipper people. You can often find them in sort of damp places such as wetlands, caves, and I'm assuming swamps as well, but you never
Yeah,
really know.
you'd assume swamps, I guess, if
Yeah,
it's wet.
and muddy.
Yeah, exactly.
They're pretty simple creatures. They don't really leave the areas around where they live. But that's basically all the information we were really given on mudskippins.
Yeah, yeah, I remember them. That they're definitely not the brightest creatures. I mean, I remember in a very short little thing where we encountered one. I think they were only capable of saying "hello" in that sort of voice.
Yeah, I remember those. Yeah.
Yeah.
So next up, it's your turn, Jay.
Yep. We are moving on to the fract. They're essentially
Yes.
gemstone people. Though sometimes they're not entirely gemstones. Sometimes they'll have like stony or dirty features as well. Yeah.
Oftentimes depends on the parents, apparently. So
Yeah, speaking of parents, how new ones are formed is a bit different to regular, well, more common races, where they'll essentially all stand in the same place for a long time. A bunch of them will do this, and then a big old crystal will come out the ground, which will spawn more of these fracked creatures. And, well, I suppose it's a bit strange. They have an electrical current running through them, which assumedly they could channel in certain ways. Well,
maybe power sources for civilizations or something. I don't know. This is all just a
yeah.
theory.
Ooh, yes. using the electricity generated by fracked slaves to power an evil undercity or something. That could be a fun plot point. Take notes, Ethan.
Anyway, next up it's me again. Hi.
Yep,
It's
we're
next race is
alternating.
the Tonnet. While they are sort of directly related to humans, they are different in a couple ways. The main reason is that they have genuine magic power running directly through them, not just through their veins, but their entire body, from their toes to the top of their head. It basically means that they also have a greater understanding of such magical concepts, whether it be through the study of it, magic items, or even casting. But in terms of appearance, they're basically humans, really. They're very similar, but they're oftentimes a bit skinnier and a bit more lanky than average.
Like you.
I am a bit lanky, yes.
Yeah, maybe you're a Tonnet and we never knew. That would be fun.
I don't really feel the magic going through my veins.
No, that's a shame. Yeah, next, going from something fairly mundane to something a bit more out there are the Nimberlin. Yeah, they look sort of like the already existing Air Genasi, but are in fact a different race, in fact being what I've been told is a primal born of air. Now, I don't know too much about the primal born, so hopefully, Michael, since you have played one, you'd be able to tell me a little bit more.
Well, to be honest, I still don't really know much. More so that I don't remember much. But
Well, that's fair enough.
as far as I'm aware, that primal borns are races created from the elements, naturally made via a mass of one type of element in one place. For example, a character I play is a primal born of water because he was formed in the ocean.
Yeah,
But
long
that's as far as
story.
I can really give my say on this because I genuinely forgotten most of the other stuff.
It's fair enough. That's better than anything I have. Maybe we'll go into more detail of Primal Borns in a different episode. But yeah, so they've all got sort of white, sometimes like grey tones of skin, and they've got clouds growing out of their head that sort of mimics hair in a way. Though I'd assume if you put your hand in there, it would just be wet. Yeah, they have certain racial abilities that make them unique. They can move at immense speeds and even walk on air, which helps them out quite a bit because they build most of their cities and settlements on top of clouds, which, I mean, normally, unless these are magic clouds I've not been told about, they're normally just, you can't really walk on those. So yeah, on to the next one, which are somewhat related to these Nimberlin. Michael.
Yep. Up next is the Cumulin. They are similar in stature and appearance, but they're always categorized as giants with the ability to control lightning and the ability to move through it, as well as the ability to transform into raging thunderclouds at will. Instead of control over the air, much more control over lightning. And being categorized as giants, we can assume that they're probably very, very big.
They're similar in size, so maybe they're just descended from giants similar to what are they called? Goliaths in regular D&D, or and maybe they just
Potentially.
this is suppose just a brief overview and not a deep dive, so I don't really know all that much. Just what our lovely DM has told us.
The Cumulin as a race are very much known for their barbaric nature, very much angry and aggressive people, and they also tend to steal and loot as if they were plunderers.
A pirate's life for them, it seems.
Absolutely.
All
But I
right,
mean, you've got the strength to control lightning and basically travel through it at such high speeds. Why wouldn't you?
yeah, it's fair enough. Problem for a lot of sky racers, I bet.
Hmm.
All right, now my next section will be on the Kriegel. They are sort of round stony creatures that come from space. In fact, I've discussed them a bit before in a previous episode when I was talking about the general area around us. Yes, they came from space as meteors, and most of their body is made of a navy blue rock. And because of this, they're big and heavy, as you would assume a large rock to be, though it's in some way they seem to be able to manipulate their weight, although it's unclear if it's their weight, just their weight they're changing, or general gravity around them. But they use this so they can, well, I think the primary use seems to be not dying if you fall off a cliff. They can use this to soften blows a bit. I assume this is mostly gravity rather than weight then. Yeah, their diet is mostly made up of different metals and minerals and stuff. In fact, a lot of them will develop a preference for one type or another, which starts to incorporate into their body. For instance, I believe in the yeah, I think this happened in episode 6. You would have seen this. There was a Kriegel called Sloppy George who ate a lot of mud, which then sort of led to him being permanently muddy and sticky, with it just sort of oozing out of him. So I'd assume this would lead to them having some sort of, well, some other examples could be like a iron one having sort of a harder metallic outside, or oh, I'd love to see what a bismuth one would look like. That might be cool with all those funny
Very,
patterns.
yeah, I was going to say, and also the different colors.
Yeah, very pretty. Maybe we could meet
Hmm,
one. Maybe if someone gets killed off, they could play one because I'd make them.
potentially.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Just to be clear, these are all races that are intended to be like, I suppose, player level of strength. Anyone could play any one of these races. Although
Yeah.
maybe not this next one because this one's weird. Go ahead, Michael.
Next up is the Otanak. You may remember them from episode 3 and 4. They are very similar to tieflings of this setting, where anyone could become one. The Otanak have sort of spider-like features or abilities. For example, the climbing on walls, developing silk, shooting acid, or something like that.
That hag one we fought sprouted a bunch more legs and started spawning spiders and stuff. That
Hmm.
was all Otternack stuff. Very scary.
Yes, they. Well, most of them pray to a sort of conceptual god that they. I'm assuming that they have made, named the Woven Strand. We saw a little marking about that on the cauldron. Their
Mm,
temples can often be found in the underworld of Tralir, called the Drosslayer.
that's a very pleasant
So
sounding place.
it probably is nice place to go for the summer.
I don't know. I mean,
I
if
mean, if you
it's
like spiders,
yeah, I really don't. So I think I'll just avoid that.
I don't
Thanks.
either.
All right. Okay. Yep.
Next up
Only.
is
Yep. I'm next. Only a couple more races to go. This one's a fun and interesting one. They're called Thicket Folk. They sort of have traits from different plants, so they'll be yeah, different thicket folk place based on different plants. So you could get like a grass thicket folk or a stinging nettle one, I guess. But yeah, their whole main thing is that these guys are incredibly varied. Some will look mostly humanoid with just some of their related plant as just a little additional feature. Some will pretty much just look like their plant. They're just in a vaguely humanoid shaped form. And like their varied appearances, their cultures can also be very varied. While a lot of them tend to be quite seclusionist, they'll just stay in their settlements, which they call biomes, and some will go out and decide, you know what, I'm going to beat up all those other thicket folk for looking different. So they are definitely very varied in their traits and beliefs. In fact, I've been told about a couple of the well, I suppose, yeah, specific types of thicket folk, some of the more notable ones. I think this is due to their deeds or particular traits that make them interesting. We'll start with the kudzu. They are aggressively expansionist. They're just spreading all of their stuff everywhere, though they're predominantly around in the east at the moment. They have a unique racial trait of never stopping growing until the day of their death. So, I mean, you can imagine how big they can get, because I think base thicket folk size is sort of similar to a regular human. So, yeah, imagine if a human reached like 80 or something, but they didn't stop growing those 60 years before. Yeah,
and especially since they're expansionists,
yeah,
that's
they're
pretty
all.
terrifying for whoever they're trying to take over.
Oh god, yeah, just imagine like a 20-foot tall, big, angry plant man saying, "You know what? This wall that was your settlement's wall's my wall now." But yeah, and they are rather xenophobic, which doesn't help. They really don't like other types of thicket folk, and I'm assuming that's whose lands they tend to conquer the most. And yeah, the other variant is they're more notable for their racial trait rather than any particular features are the drake vine. Now, drake vine is a magical plant with the ability to create and generally survive around fire, and they use this sort of weird pollen-like hot substance to do this. And obviously, because the regular plant does this, this is a trait that the thicket folk also inherit. So they are probably very dangerous. I hope we don't get on the wrong side of one. Owen might be alright because of his fire resistance, but I think the rest of us will just sort of burn if they use this. So hopefully we don't die, I guess. That's the
I'm
general.
hoping we don't either.
Yeah, I mean, just like in general, not particularly to one of these guys, but yeah, I wonder if we will encounter uh, any of these different varieties of thicket folk in the future, or maybe, like the previously randomly spouted out, like stinging nettle one, if we'll encounter any different varieties. Now, on to the final race we're going to talk about. I pass back to Michael.
For the last race we were given, it's the Plushles. Plushles are categorized as bed bay cognitive life.
I don't really know much about what that exactly means. Do you know anything what bed bay cognitive
Well,
life is?
so Bed Bay is a archipelago of islands which is home to a bunch of sort of sentient teddy bears, pillows, and blankets. I basically it's basically as much as I already know that was given to us, but they seem to have a connection to the realm of dreams,
Oh yeah,
which of course would make sense given their state.
yeah. So that is
So,
interesting because the realm of dreams has been described to me as the place where you go if you die and you don't worship a god, so don't get into their variant of heaven.
well, that's good that they are connected to it because the plushies have sort of like a passive aura around them, which makes people not as frightened as they are.
Oh, that's
Sort of maybe they're there to help ease them through the afterlife. But yes, I'm assuming that bed bay cognitive life is the sort of scientific term for any of the teddy bears, pillows, blankets, hell, even beds themselves that have gained sentience.
I'd like to meet a pajama creature.
That would be very funny.
Yeah. Wonder if Owen's nightcap that he wears. I wonder if that's one of these creatures.
Ooh, maybe.
Yeah.
They are oftentimes naive, sometimes a little bit stupid, but they are always friendly.
Oh, that's pleasant. Just a nice place full of these little chill bed people.
Sometimes they leave their little archipelagos. It's rare, but they will sometimes go on adventure.
Oh, they sound nice and friendly. I do want to meet one of those. It is just sort of funny to think, oh no, we're in this big world full of evil spider people, space meteors, and now there's just stuffed animals.
Yeah, but anyway, I believe that's all the races.
Yep. Now, like I said before, I believe our DM Ethan was planning to create around 50, so there will likely be more of these race overviews to come. And now let's move on to the outro. Now, Michael, where can they find us?
Well, you can find us on Instagram at the Worst Outcome D&D Podcast or 2D&D Podcast. We'll also be able to, if you want to watch the actual episodes, you can find us on YouTube and Spotify. Other social medias we're on include TikTok, and are we on Twitter/X?
Yes, we are on Twitter/X. Yeah, best way
Okay, yep.
if you want to get into contact with us would be a message through Instagram.
Hmm.
Be sure to do the whole usual thing of liking and subscribing and all those things that the YouTubers are meant to tell you to do at the end of the video.
Yep. That yeah, honestly helps us out quite a lot. Helps the podcast get out there a bit more, so we can do a lot more of this, which we love doing.
Yeah, and in fact, we've got a subscriber milestone going where we will sing a sea shanty that appeared in good old episode, I want to say 5.
I think it was 4.
Oh well,
No, it was 5.
okay, yeah.
Wait, I don't know.
Yeah, well, it was one of them. It was a sea shanty, but you'll get a full version of that, music and all, hopefully, if we reach 50 subscribers, and a longer version, in fact, 40 minutes long, if we can reach 500 by the end of the year. But yeah, so like, subscribe, all of those things. Tell your friends if you think they'll have fun with this. And thank you for watching or listening.
Yep. Thank you all very much.
Hope to see you all in the next one. Next week, we will be having an episode coming out of the Worst Outcome actual podcast and not an outtake. So, yep, hope you
And
enjoy
I
that. And
hope you enjoyed that.
yep, and now, Michael, say goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, everyone.